So people in the industry, or at least someone in his industry, like Larry McReynolds, Denny Hamlin, that they're talking in this podcast here. It looks like with the Harrison Burton win, even the Austin Dillon win, that did count as a win, but got stripped of playoff eligibility, which that's a whole other tangent because he he hooked Hamlin based on the SMT data. Dillon was like a 30-degree rotation, and Hamlin's rotation was a lot more of a normal exit. Clearly, there's some bull honky with that, and how they didn't penalize it because it's a short track, but yet they penalized Matt Kenseth for what he did to Logano in 2015 when that was a short track thing. But that one's bad, but intentionally hooking Hamlin isn't. Makes no sense to me, but I'm sure someone's going to defend it because fanboy caps. People love Austin Dillon. Well, no, I don't know. Fanboy cap logic's going to deter everything. I don't know. So tangents on that aside, I know I'm being negative. I know. I know what I need to be more positive, more happy. No one died at Richmond. That's a good thing. No one died at Daytona. Good. I mean, everybody had a safe, happy time. And that's the positive. Like, as if that's the bare minimum of what we need to accept nowadays. Is just, well, they lived. Oh, my God. Thank God. In a sport. I guess that's the positive. Everything else is pointless. We can't criticize anything in media because, oh, well, they lived. And that's good. It's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. But anyways, the point is, this is coming out. So it leads me to think maybe they're starting to get it. I'm going to play this bit here, and I'm going to mute my mic. You're just going to listen to the audio. I think it's important to get this context, so we're going to do that. In fact, you know what? Because of this topic, I'm going to shut my air off. If this topic is worthy of my... I will shut the air off for you, for Larry McReynolds. I'll do that for you.
First teams that can't even find top fives and top tens goes out there and wins a race, and they're in the playoffs. And then you see drivers like Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch. It's competitive week in and week out. Yeah. Outside looking in. What do you feel about that?
I mean, as a car owner, I don't love it. I think that it's no different than a scientist, right? You if you want to come up with a new drug or something, they go through endless tests and they come up with big old sample sizes to create what is the best remedy, right? I just feel, and this isn't, it's just now getting exposed. There's a lot of topic now because the system is getting exposed because nobody planned for that to happen. It hasn't happened a whole lot. There's always been one or two that are like.
I will interject. Because there's at least 3 off the top of my head of fluky dukes of people outside top 16 in points winning a race getting in. A.J. Allmendinger 2014, 2016, Chris Buescher, 2017, Austin Dillon, 2018, Austin Dillon. I mean, we can look through the numbers. 2017, I was just looking this up before the race started. So by race 26, Austin Dillon 2017 was already 19th in points. But because he got a fuel mileage win, he bumped up 3 or 4 spots. What about 2018? Did Austin Dillon actually straight up deserve to be in 2018? I don't know. I guess we'll have to look at that and make sure by the time we get to race 26 when the playoffs start. So looking at the metrics. Oh, look at that. Austin Dillon is 19th. So that's 4 right there. I mean, we could think of that's 4 in the first 4 years of it existing. 2015, I don't believe there was any type of nonsense with it. 2017, we exposed that. 2018, we exposed it. This is just some of the stuff off the top of my head. Then we get to, I think 2022 is where it just gets insane with the Jed Seven car because of the parity. I mean, we basically had a scenario where, I mean, you might as well just look up the stats here just to get a frame of mind here. By race 26, just obviously we had Austin Dillon bump in, that was 19th in points. Briscoe, he was 17th. He didn't really deserve to be in there. Cindric actually earned it because he was already 14th. So there's like a couple examples there. So it's definitely more than just 3. It's literally 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe. I mean, it's been more than just one wacky, 1 in a million chance. No, it's happened a stupendous amount of times. And it's just, I don't know why it's taken 10 years for them to figure this out. Do they just completely ignore social media and the world around them to not be aware of this? Yeah, like A.G. Allmendinger isn't even in the top 20 here, but he bumps up multiple spots to be in the top 16 in 2014. Because, that's fair. So, that makes no sense to me, but that's just... We'll keep going. I just want to interject there because Hamlin, he generally has pretty reasonable takes, but here I just want to correct him because it's not just 3. It's like 5, 6, 7, 8 instances. And there's, 3, 4 this year? If there was 8 or 7 total, I mean, I don't know how many we've had in the history. Eric Almirola magically in 2021. It just continues. I gotta fucking write this chart up. Fuck, I'm gonna do that right now. This video's gonna be long. Well, I'm gonna be editing it, but I'm gonna freaking do this right now. Where's Elite Precision's tweet? Also, can I go on another tangent of how qualifying's stupid? Because Hocevar qualified second, but Hamlin or Larson had a faster lap time, and that makes no sense. Like, they can't even get qualifying right. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to be negative. But, man, when you can't even get basic qualifying right of first is first because they were fastest. And their second fastest is because he was second fastest. Not second fastest because technically in Group A he was like the fastest, but Group B is... We don't need this. How do you complicate qualifying? Oh, my God. I'm sorry. I guess I should be positive. At least Bubba's on pole as he should have been. Hell yeah. Oh my God, I forgot Cole Custer 2020. I forgot about that. So yeah, there's been a comical amount of instances. It's not just 2 or 3. It's really, honestly, probably at least 10? I don't know. It's in the higher digits. So that's on average. On average. In the 10 years we've had it, almost at least once a year, you'll get one person that is... It's just nonsense. Let's just continue on with this video.
Wow, they were 20th in points and they got in. But we could have easily had multiple outside the top 30 make it had Austin Dillon stand. I just think that it's finally exposing the flaws of the system, and I just... surely I wish it would go back, but it's not going to go back. So we just have to.
Okay, it continues onwards.
You're not going to find a core fan base that believes that championships matter as much today as they used to, because it is just watered down.
Let me ask you this. You said it's not going to go back. Is the difference implementing a top 30 rule?
I know it's Denny Hamlin saying this, but I was around in 2020 when Harvick missed the Final Four. And people say it's Martinsville that was caused. And people forget the context, too, that it wasn't just Martinsville. Harvick was leading at Texas, and rain came up, and because he was the first car to approach a fresh rain track, he slipped and hit the wall. That's what cost him the Final Four, too. People can say Martinsville all they want, but is it really fair that Harvick's championship, his entire season, where he's built up multiple race point lead, to be completely destroyed because of rain? And he didn't win Kansas because of dirty air, where Logano just blocked the air. We literally saw it on the camera. And this is coming from, again, someone that's not a Harvick fan. But there's a core part of me at one point. I don't know if that's really there anymore. But there's a core part of me that just wants the best to win and doesn't want bullshit out of their control to happen like Texas, where rain ruined it. And Martinsville, he was really running 6th at the end, but he didn't get stage points. So I guess that did ultimately ruin it. But It was just so stupid. All of it's so stupid. So the point is, so a lot of drivers, even Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, they were all saying that the championship is watered down. That's a horrific statement to say when that's the goal for the end of the year, is that. And then to have drivers, at least a couple, big name ones, come out and admit this, it's kind of alarming, and I think it should be a concern. I mean, if we're at this point, we should just not even have a championship and just do like what SRX did and just literally ignore the championship. Well, I guess they still technically acknowledge it like at the last race of the season, but they kind of just promote the race itself. That's kind of what Humpy Wheeler did. So I don't know. And it's the other thing too is F1 races, like the championship's been decided many months in advance, that damn near, but people still come up. NASCAR ratings and attendance were still stupidly high despite Kenseth kind of running away. It was kind of like that in 2002. I know the culture of the world is so different now. Maybe there would be a lot of people that would hate it, but I don't know. But the sad thing is that there's been people growing up in this era where this is all they know, and they're so used to that dopamine rush all the time, every year, that yeah, it's probably going to be a wake up. It's going to be entirely cultural, but wake up for them to go into the final race and someone's clinched it. But for the integrity of the sport, for the integrity of auto racing, sometimes that just happens, and it's okay. Now, if I was 10 years old, maybe I would hate it. But, add 2 decades to it, and I come to appreciate, that. But again, with the Gen 7 cars, except for 2022, it's been close. It's been stupidly close. In last year and this year, basically, in terms of the points. No one's really dominated. No one's really ran away. There's been lead changes in it constantly. But even if there was someone that ran away with it, there's still the race at hand to do. It's just I'm going around in circles, man. I don't know why I keep reiterating this, but it's nice to hear drivers even admit it. So I'm hoping that this might be a start to at least dial some of this back. This is all coked up Brian Francis ideas with all these decisions he made, and we're still sticking with it. Why are we still sticking around with these decisions that he made when these are just like a joke? I don't know. Makes no sense to me. But Hamlin will elaborate why it kind of has grown into the way it has with the playoffs and how many people get in. We'll get into that.
And why will we never go back to that? It's because of the charter system?
Well, you got to realize this all started when we had 10 drivers, right? And then they said, well, and it was the team's fault. The teams went to NASCAR, says, well, we're not part of it and we're not getting coverage. Okay, we'll go to 12. And then they were like, well, we're not part of it. Our sponsor should be a part of it. Okay, fine, we'll go to 16. They kept adding more, and it just, I don't know. I just think that it's hard to take too much seriously when it comes to it, when you just keep adding just for the sake of entertainment. But then, and then we created rounds where it's okay, you're going to get eliminated. Now, I agree. As a fan, you watch, the elimination it's very entertaining. But is it true to sports? I don't know. You can have that debate, surely. But certainly, I believe the best format we had is when we had 10 races in the final 10, and you took the points from those final 10 and you crowned a champion, because there's a big enough sample size there to really know that that champion was well-deserved from that year. And the stats will prove to you that, the champions are now different in our sport than what they would have been if you use the year as a whole, or the 10 races as a whole.
I'll stop. So Hamlin does elaborate why it ballooned into the way it did. And mind you, is there 34 charters now, 34 full-time drivers, and there's 16 slots? You're guaranteeing at least 40%, 45% of the field make it. That's stupid. And yeah, Hamlin's right. It is the team's fault that they wanted more. And this is why we are kind of where we are at with everything. So, in order to fix that problem, I think we just abolish this playoff shit. I mean, ideally. So, because do you ever notice how, like, if you're not in the playoffs, like, your whole entire season doesn't matter? I mean, we kind of saw that last year with Ross Chastain winning, and he, like, got zero coverage even though he won the race. I mean, yeah, it's still important to crown the champion, but we've done that in many decades past where a driver wins at Atlanta, but then, you know, the champion still gets airtime too. Like, it was a lot more balanced. It wasn't so lopsided to the point where it's like Chastain's win like meant like almost nothing. Like, he might as well not even win the race. It was like so, and again, it's like the first time they ever had to deal with this in the Cup side. And the Truck Series, it's happened a couple times, but in the Cup side, things is the first time in 10 years. But yeah, it's still just gross. So in order to fix that, just get rid of it. Don't even have 16. Obviously, ideally, what I wish would happen was just we only have to race at one track like once a year. So that cuts the schedule down to 26 races. If you want to have like extra races for special ones, maybe like Daytona, like the night one, because that's just Daytona, sure. Second Kansas one, sure. Maybe a second Darlington, sure. So it'll be up to 28. And maybe, you know, you add 2 more in for special venues or something that can rotate the schedule. So you have it even 30. And by the time you get to race 30, your season's still going to be kind of intersecting with football, but it's not going to be like, you know, it's not going to last. It's only going to be like 2 weeks into the football season or something like that. There you go. 30 races. Boom. There you go. That's ideally what I would like. I don't know. But I know it's not going to happen. Because I'm just a freaking nobody. Which apparently the comment section loves to really reiterate that I am. So thank you. You're not really stating new facts. But I appreciate the reminder in case I start having dementia. So thank you.
They're now different than what they used to be. I proved to you. And you took the points from those final 10 and you crowned a champion because there's a big enough sample size there to really know that that champion was well-deserved from that year.
I still disagree with this because when you look at the raw data from 2004 to 2013, only 5 of those 10 were deserving in terms of you look at like their whole body of season work throughout the season. Basically, these are the years where it lined up where the last 10 races, they won the championship as they would have done the full season. So 2005, Tony Stewart. 2006, Jimmy Johnson, that's 2. Then you have to go to 2009 with Jimmy Johnson, so that's 3. And then 2010, okay, that doesn't count. 2011, no. 2012, Brad Keselowski, okay. 2012, Brad Keselowski, and then 2013 with Jimmy. That's 5. 5 years, when you look at Racing Reference, you can look at that right now. I don't want to be sitting here going through all this because this will be another 5 more minutes added to the video. But those are the 5 out of those 10 for 2004 to 2013 where the person that won the championship in the chase would have done it in the full season. 5. That's a 50%. Now, in some schools, that's considered like passing. Where I came from, a 69 was like an F. So by my school's grading, that's a failure. Even if you want to say a 50 is a passing grade, that's still a D. You don't want that. You want better. You want it to where it's, you know, 100% of the time they win the championship with a format like that. So I still would prefer a full season, but I know it's not going to happen. If they dialed it back, if like we had to deal with a fucking 10 race chase, if they rotate the races a lot, like they didn't do that with Jimmy, and Jimmy also kind of exposed the system too, where there was like 4 or 5 races where the team just kind of messed around with setups, and that's not a champion. That's not a full season champion. That's just kind of abusing the system. Like, well, you know, we can just kind of dick around from like race 18 to 22 and 23 because don't matter. We're like third points. We can get it. We can just do whatever. That's kind of, I don't like that either. We saw that last year with Ryan Blaney where the last 6 races he just kind of was just on a rocket. We've seen this throughout the course of the last 20 years where the last 10 races Tony Stewart just kind of knocks off an amazing 10 race stretch. A full season champion, a champion should be for like the full season. Does that not make sense? It really doesn't fucking compute to me. But an overall champion should be because they were just the best all year, not because they were the best 10 races at the end of the year. It's just, I just don't understand it. I don't know. Whatever.
And the stats will prove to you that, the champions are now different in our sport than what they would have been if you use the year as a whole or the 10 races as a whole. They are now different than what they used to be. I know I was part of NASCAR meetings. Really,
Hamlin is right that it was much different. When you look at just the average finish of a champion, it just keeps getting worse. Like, it's getting higher, which obviously you don't want your average finish to be higher. So Ryan Blaney's average finish was 14 point something. That was the worst average finish for a champion ever. Maybe you can go back to something in the 60s where an average finish was higher, but in the last 25 plus years, 30 years, no, I don't really ever recall anything in my lifetime where a person won a championship with an average finish of 14th. So don't make a whole lot of sense to me. So yeah, Hamlin's right in that regard. And yeah, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice to not have the person being the best player win a championship? Imagine if Verstappen freaking won 16 races out of the 20 or whatever in the F1 schedule, then he just has a mechanical failure in the last race season and he just loses. It's stupid. So many scenarios of just stupid to happen. And I guess this year is just finally the year where it's just there's just too much stupid and people are finally starting to kind of get it. I don't know.
No, I was part of NASCAR meetings a really long time ago when they discussed having this playoff format, and they says, we've looked at all the data and the champion would still be the champion. The original champion that we have under this new format, it works out about 70% of the time. Now that we've done it more,
it's no, it's more 50% of the time. So that's gaslighting. That's wrong. So nice that whoever was at those meetings telling the drivers that the playoff format would basically ensure a legit champion regardless of the format. It's kind of bullshit. So not a fan of that. Not a fan of the gaslighting. So thank you, Hamlin, for bringing that up. I swear when Hamlin retires and he does podcasts or stuff like this, I'm probably gonna like him a whole lot more because most of his takes I kind of agree on. And he's one of the few to open up and just say this. I guess Harvick too, but he's not a driver anymore. But props to Hamlin for this. He does a lot of stupid shit on track. A lot of just decisions I don't like, crowding people into a wall and everything, and I don't like that. But he has good takes. Most of the time, he has good takes.
The original champion that we have under this new format, it works out about 70% of the time. Now that we've done it more, it's 20% that Joe Logano came from nowhere and got hot for 3 or 4 races, won the championship.
Blaney
did the same thing.
Exactly.
So how can you argue that that's the correct way? But for entertainment purposes, maybe it is.
I like how Hamlin ends it, or at least this clip ends with, for entertainment purposes, that's what we do. If NASCAR just came out tomorrow and just said, we're in it for the entertainment, legitimacy be damned, then it would make my decision so much easier to not give a shit, or at least understand that this is the direction that they want to go in. But they still want to have their cake and eat it too. We want to be legitimate. We don't want a demolition derby, but yet the format enables demolition derbies and insanity, and everything is so batshit crazy and delusional with how they think of everything that we're never going to change. Even though the Ross Chastain, that would never happen. Oh, with the playoffs, we didn't have that. Yeah, well, look what that did. Did that boost ratings for NASCAR? It was viral on the internet. It did nothing for ratings. In fact, I think it dropped still. So it did nothing for ratings. It was just a blip moment, and it did nothing. Ultimately, it did nothing. Watch Slapshoe's video on that. He covered it way better than I can articulate it. But maybe there's hope. I don't know. And see, I'm being positive. I know, how dare I be positive? I was just saying I was so negative. But hey, if Larry Mack and in this podcast, maybe they're starting to kind of see it. This might mean something, or maybe it won't. I don't know. But it's nice to hear, because we have frickin' Mamba Smith thinking like the playoffs benefit the sport and do everything and it's so wonderful, and we got like NASCAR shills like that. Some people think like, oh, he's being bought by NASCAR, being paid by NASCAR. No, I don't believe that. I just think like it's just play the game, kiss ass as much as possible, and then you'd be like, did I do good, NASCAR? Did I do good? Did I did I simp for you enough? It's just unnecessary. But yeah, so that's interesting. Interesting that Hamlin mentioned that they were telling them like, oh, 70% of the time, and it's more like 50. This is about like 2014 when they were being told about the playoff stuff. So by 2014, or at least by the end of 2013, we've had 10 years of the regular chase, and I just literally went that whole spiel about 5 out of 10 win it. So it's not even a 70%, it's more 50. And that's pretty clear cut because 10 years, 10% for every year. So it's even nice even math. I don't have to get out my calculator. As I'm editing this video, I just kind of thought up another point of NASCAR can literally do what they want. They don't have to wait 4 years, 3 years, 2 years to make a points format change. In fact, they can literally do it on a whim, like in 2013, where they just added in a 13th driver. Which, that's not part of the rules, but they just kind of did it. With the whole spin gate nonsense and everything, they just did it. So NASCAR has the court to really make any type of changes they want. So there is nothing really stopping them from doing something to where we don't have a one race championship. If we can at least do that, then it will be a start to something, to getting back to what it somewhat fucking was. I don't know, but I just wanted to make that point because it's true. But yeah, this video's gone way longer than it should. I really wasn't planning on making more NASCAR videos, but screw it. This has just been the most interesting freaking part of the whole year. This right now is the most interesting part of the whole year. Not any race, not the 3 wide hoo-ha finish. These topics. So, I don't know. I guess in a weird cosmic sense, I'm enjoying doing this. I know. How dare I? But, yeah, I don't know. Enjoy my tangent. I don't know. I got nothing. I'm done. Bye.